in technology, customer service, things like that, good luck. It is, here's your link, figure it out. You want to send SMS, you must know everything by yes. So it's just not working for people. And then you add all the legal things on top of it. And I think it's just a lot of people are just throwing their hands up and say, forget it. We'll just keep dialing out or using media buy or something.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Arbeit. Today we have a great guest here. Super excited to be with Holly Depies. She is going to be speaking at the upcoming Contact IO event on bridging the gap between streamlining SMS and sales conversion for optimal performance. But today we have an equally exciting topic. We're going to be talking about Business SMS 101 and how to sell and market with text. So Holly, first of all, so excited to have you here. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
For people who maybe aren't familiar with you or aren't familiar with Rally Box, can you just give us a little bit of background on what you do over there?
Yeah, I'm the owner of Rally Box. It's a new platform for text messaging for marketing. I have a background in everything from call center, building dialers to consulting, and I really landed on SMS. I understand it. It's a very tumultuous, ever-changing industry, but because I have some carrier background, I'm able to really bridge that gap between the customer and the provider so that marketers aren't stuck on just retail options, which have become really, really rigid.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm so glad to have you here because it seems like every time that we start to explore SMS with our customers, it's becoming there's more and more moving pieces to it. And I think maybe for the person out there who hasn't dipped their toes into it yet, at least from our side, it's definitely not as simple as just going out and deciding that you're going to text tomorrow. For somebody, that business out there who maybe they're dipping their toes in for the first time, what's like the first step that somebody takes when they're first looking as a business to get into doing SMS?
So the first thing that you need to realize when you're going to add SMS as a channel is it is not a set it and forget it channel. Some media buyers or emailers can set up their campaigns for the day and then go about their day and do other things. SMS is a little more like email was 5 years ago or so, where you're testing, you're running, you're analyzing, you're changing, you're testing, so it really is a process all day. But before you even get that far, you have to be registered. The carriers are trying to their users. And we're also trying to eliminate some of the bad actors out there that just want to send millions of messages of spam to people who don't want it and they've never heard of it and don't need diet pills or whatever it is. So what's happened is that the powers that be have overcorrected to where you have to register. It's a very arduous process. It's a lot like short code registration where it just takes weeks and they want to vet you as a company, et cetera. And so the first thing you want to consider when getting into SMS is your data opt-ins. So if you're from call centers, then everyone's familiar with the FCC and TCPA. But going a step further for SMS is it really is single opt-in. So they want people opted in for that campaign, that product, that company. They are trying to eliminate lead generation. So that's what you have to think of first, making sure that your opt-ins cover what you are actually reaching out to them on. Secondly, is you want to make sure that you add a checkbox or add in your opt-in checkbox that they can receive electronic communications via dialer, predictive dialer, text, including text messaging, etc. So that is probably the hardest switch for call centers is making sure that your TCPA compliance includes text messaging. The second thing you want to do is make sure you understand your data. Data segmentation and understanding what audience responds to your offer or your product is really important. Gone are the days of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks and going with that and bumbling around. If you have opt-outs or complaints, then that's gonna shut down your SMS route as well. Make sure your compliance is in order, and then also making sure that you understand your data and your data segmentation.
You touched on so many great things there. There's a lot to unpack there.
There's so much.
It's
like a gauntlet of caveats.
We were saying before we even started filming today, we're like, this could be like a 5-hour conversation. And it really So I guess to start out, one of the things that you mentioned in there, I know you talked about short codes. And I know like when we first started looking at SMS, like at the time, short codes was really the only route then that you had to like go through a campaign registration. It was a lot different back then. You had more options. Now with 10 DLCs, regardless of if you're doing short codes or if you're doing a traditional long code, it sounds like those businesses are still going to have to go through that initial vetting process.
Yes, exactly. Gone is circa 2019, 2015, where we could just grab a platform, grab some numbers or DIDs and start running SMS to figure it out. Like I said, they overcorrected. And so we have the carriers themselves, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, and the other carriers. They are really the end powers that be. In between that and you pushing the button, there's a lot of other telephone companies, and we won't go into that whole mess. But really, at the end of the day, the carrier wants to make sure that the end user is getting a message that they expect, that they want, and at an appropriate time. So now, whether you want to run on regular long code numbers, if you're from call center, we used to call those DIDs or DIDs. Now they call them 10 DLC, 10-digit long code numbers. And then you have toll-free numbers, and then you have short code. All three of those are governed by different places. They're not making it easy at all. They're adding all these rules. Marketers and call centers are happy to follow them. Now it's just about unpacking which one will fit you best and which one your marketing is actually what best equipped for. So we want to unpack short codes quickly. I don't run a lot of short codes. I don't usually work with a lot of like logo brands. I work with a lot of call centers and marketing companies that are sending traffic to an offer or insurance or that logo brand. But if you are acme.com and you're a Fortune 500 company and you want to get people to opt into something or get a newsletter, then you can prompt them to text into you on a short code. Right? A short code was designed to just be a 5-digit number. It's very easy to remember to market it that way. So that process traditionally is a long process that the carriers want to make sure they know who you are and then you're going to use it appropriately and follow all their rules. Then we have toll-free. So toll-free is your next kind of level of business level telephone number. And that is governed by, they just got bought, but it's pretty much governed by one entity as well as the end stop gate. That can hold, short code and toll-free can hold a large capacity of text messages on just using one phone number. However, with toll-free, they have also gone the way of they want to know who you are and what you're doing, and they have specific rules as well. And then we have 10-digit long codes. Traditionally, before the last couple of years, you could just grab one of those numbers and start texting, or you could use 20,000 numbers and send a million messages. We could play with it a little bit. And so now we have the campaign registry, and they're the governing authority on registering and making sure that you're a legitimate company and you're sending opt-in messages, etc. All of those channels now take an intense or longer registration period, as well as removing that lead generation veil of being an anonymous sender, which, in my opinion, I agree. If you get rid of some of the bad actors, then we could all play a little nicer in the sandbox. However, now we all have to arduously get rid of the sandbox. So that's the current state of registration and the reasoning why. Because they all take a long process, in my opinion, short code's expensive. You're still not guaranteed to get delivery, and they could turn those off too if they just don't like you for the day. The most frustrating part of the 10 DLC and registration process right now is they put all these rules in place, and marketers, we like to follow rules. Like, just give me the rules, we'll follow them, we'll make adjustments. But the carriers don't have to adhere to those rules particularly either. They can still have their own opinion. They can still decide links aren't good or whatever it is for the day. So my hope is that over the next year or two that we will actually start being able to hold the carriers accountable for the rules that they are implementing on marketing instead of just shutting off.
Yeah, I could not agree with that more. And particularly what you said about it, as somebody, we're both on both sides of it, right? Like, it's great as a consumer that I'm not getting those offers every day sent to my phone, although they still do sit through. But there did need to be a solution that was going to cut down on that. But yeah, definitely when we're looking at holding the carriers responsible for maybe not just disallowing or shutting off traffic. I can speak to our clients specifically. We primarily work in the debt collection space, and with Regulation F, it really opened up for debt collectors to be able to go and lean more into digital communications. However, then we see on the carrier side so many things that are just completely shutting that channel down for the debt collection industry. And that was a really difficult thing to balance. I know when we first opened up this conversation, one of the things that you had mentioned being a really important thing in there was getting opt-in consent for these messages and really having that be a specific thing. Again, with our clients in the past, I think they hear opt-in and maybe you might be thinking like, I'm going to get this universal opt-in to communicate on every channel or to communicate for any message that I want to say. So I think that's really important what you said there about it being very specific to the channel, to the messaging that you want to do in there. Thinking about getting registered on these different campaign types, and maybe this looks different for different businesses or for different number types, but are there other things that are going to be really important when businesses are going out there and trying to get approval on these messaging carriers?
Yeah. So going back to opt-in, I know, especially since I know a lot of your audience is call center. So the other biggest change with your opt-ins is one, that it needs to be a single campaign, a single, I want to opt in for this insurance from XYZ. The other thing that they're rapidly, I'm sure everyone's rapidly aware of, is that they want to get rid of lead generation altogether, even in the call space. But for text messaging specifically, is no marketing partners. So that long list, that 2-page list of a link to all the marketing partners that you can sell their information to, there's no way you're going to get approved on SMS if you're selling their information. That's the other thing that the carriers are trying to protect. So the first thing was that they want to protect them from getting unwanted messages or from harmful phishing and scams or whatever. But then the second thing is they do not want their customers' information sold or bought or used for other things. So that general opt-in, hey, I want insurance. And remember, a lot of your opt-ins are vetted by your lawyer, making sure that from the advertiser, making sure the advertiser is in legal alignment with receiving that customer. What no one's looking at is the opt-in for where that opt-in came from. Hi, where did it come from down the line? So yes, they may have wanted general insurance. Yes, you had all the lingo when they're saying, hey, we're going to sell your information to Tom, Dick, and Harry. And they're like, yes, please do. We love this idea. But the carriers at the end of the day do not care what the customer wants, what's the easiest way for them to communicate, or what they opt into, because they want to make sure that your campaign does not include marketing partners. You're not selling it. You can work directly with an advertiser together and be a single marketing partner and show proof of that. So it's just a longer process, and it's getting harder and harder for lead generation, which in my opinion, with everything, there's good parts to it, right? And there's come on parts to it. And then what you were saying earlier about verticals, I come from loans. I literally built my business. I built my reputation. I built my knowledge on the loan space. And I will tell you, it is the cleanest campaigns I've ever ran. It's the cleanest data that it never bounces, because the higher up you get, they aren't selling their data. They're keeping that database forever. Same with debt, right? They hold that database sacred. Whereas other campaigns that the carriers don't mind so much, to me, it's like, what is happening? That it's just like insurance. It's just a general everything, where debt and loans, they're held to like laws to even be a debt collection company, or how they communicate or when they communicate. Same with loans. There's a lot of regulation overseeing that. And so to me, it seems a little backwards that just because people don't want to pay their debts, that they're now bothered by these text messages. And same with loans, just because the government may not agree with short-term lending. For myself, I was able to get divorced because of short-term lending. I was able to set up on my own and use that short-term lending to get that buffer so I could move on with my life. So to me, it seems a little backwards, but it is the environment we're in. It doesn't mean it's not possible. And it's just about making sure that you're lining up with the opt-in, that they wanted it, and then that you're not selling their information. So once you get that whole thing together and change your landing pages, then now you're ready to start your journey. The reason I built Rally Box, I built it with some really great partners that have been in the space a long time. I bring my kind of carrier background. They bring their data background, and our other partner hat is really good at venturing with other marketers and advertisers. But the reason I built it was really because I've always had a hands-on approach to anything. I was at a SaaS company. I was a technical account manager. I would get in trouble for onboarding too long. I'm like, and they never call us again. They're never selling. They call us again because I've gone really good. When I was a customer facing account manager, same thing. I'm like, I don't get paid. I get paid on usage. So if they don't run, I don't make money. So I built my whole career on hand holding. And so at Rally Box, we do the same. We may try, we're not the cheapest, never going to be the cheapest, but we are the most thorough. And we hold your hand through that process. We get you through vetting if you need to be re-vetted, et cetera. So we're not just giving you a link to a platform and then just, bye, good luck, because that doesn't really benefit anyone. And I really wanted to build a space for networks and advertising agencies that kind of wanted to stop relying on affiliate traffic so much. They wanted to use their in-house owned and operated pages, but they just didn't have the technology, and retail technology is really expensive, and then they don't help you. So that's really why we built Rally Box, was for marketing. And because I love call centers and we have a lot of paper call coming back full swing, we really are there to hold your hand and kind of walk you through the process and give you an honest assessment on if you should even run SMS as a channel. I do apologize. All my answers are long because SMS is that complicated. It's not that I like to hear myself speak.
No, I appreciate the long answers, and exactly what you were saying with being that person who will hold your hand and take a longer time on that onboarding process, and maybe like sometimes being the uncomfortable truth of maybe SMS isn't free right now or isn't free for a while.
I'm not going to touch that.
Yes. I mean, somebody else will, but not us. But
Yeah.
I think that's honestly, that's really important, really needed, because I think so many providers I know, even that we've tried to work with at the beginning of that conversation, it's anything we can do to try and onboard people. And then you hit that wall where it's pretty clear that it's not going to work. And I think somebody who's more familiar with the space is that's really a huge need in the market right now.
I don't start off hating my customers or thinking that they're guilty, dirty spammers. I just take a look at it and see if they can fit within the guidelines and if it's a viable campaign. And like you said, a lot of providers, they either are technology providers, right? The biggest one out there that's coming to everyone's mind right now, they are not a telecom company. They are a reseller telecom, and they are API and technology building company. Other platforms out there too, they are a platform company, and they just throw a route on there and let you sort it out. So I think I was hoping after we came out of COVID that people would have a little more compassion and a little more sense of community and working together. And in some places we've seen that, but in technology, customer service, things like that, good luck. It is, here's your link, figure it out. You want to send SMS, you must know everything by. So it's just not working for people. And then you add all the legal things on top of it. And I think it's just a lot of people are just throwing their hands up and said, forget it. We'll just keep dialing out or using media buy or something. So it's an understandable place that people are in, because even by the end of my day, I'm just like, go, 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 go. But I try and make it fun. And I really do care about my customers. A lot of them have been my customers since that first SaaS company I was in. And I think I left that company in 2018. It's necessary. And you shouldn't have to pay thousands of dollars just to have someone register your campaign. So we're all here to make money. We profit. We're not a nonprofit. We're not doing it out of the kindness of our heart per se. We are just tired of getting the runaround at companies as well. Like you said, oh, we'll help you. We do everything we can. If you fit into their perfect little box, if you're Coca-Cola, oh, they will help. But if you're just a marketing company or a lead generation company, or you're just trying and you want to understand the guidelines, good luck getting any help there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I literally couldn't have expressed it better myself. No, absolutely. And
Frustrating.
it really is. And my heart honestly goes out to so many businesses that are trying to sign up, and you just constantly are in that runaround. And when you're a small business trying to manage 50 other channels, you don't have time to be an expert at SMS. Really, you need somebody on your team to help you.
Yeah, exactly. And you really do, just like you have someone running a dialer in your call centers, you need someone that's running your SMS, and at least having someone to liaison between to get through that process and understand once you get through all that, and it's not delivering, it's a whole nother journey that you have to start. So it's a lot. It really is a lot. And I think that's why I just stayed in this lane.
Yeah. I won't keep you too much longer. Again, we could continue this conversation on for 5 hours. But one final thing that I was curious about as we were talking through all this, up until now, we've really focused on like the registration process getting started. And that's a huge hurdle. If you can get past that part, like, that's fantastic. But a whole other side of that is, okay, you're registered now, you're sending out text messages. How much of that is like now coming down to the content that you have, maybe like the links or the call to actions that you have in there? And now at this point, it's the game of you're registered, but how do I actually get my text messages delivered? How do I keep that deliverability up? What kind of advice or tips might you have on that front?
It just leads us to another caveat of SMS, right? So you get registered, you jump through all of their hoops, you have this golden message that they say yes to, you go to run and it gets blocked, right? And you're like, I just jumped through all your hoops. And that is because the carriers haven't all caught up with actually implementing filters and their processes up to 10 DLC. So we have one entity that's registering you and one that's still doing what they do. So your content is important for a few reasons. If you just follow the CTIA guidelines and put together this message, right? They want you to put like how many messages a week and all these things in there. We only have 160 characters to put into this message. Otherwise, now you're paying double, right? And so it's got to be short and sweet and direct. But they are looking at your content. There are filters out there to see what you're sending aside from just the registration part. So if you are loans or you are debts, you have to keep everything really generic but specific. And it does become difficult. My best advice would be to work with someone that can hold your hand and also testing. So the one thing that is frustrating about 10DLC and having to register before you can even get a phone number is you can't do any minor A/B testing to figure out what's going to work for you. And that's been the most frustrating thing even for me being a provider is guys, I'll send you 100 campaigns we can register. We need to figure out really what works first, like what messaging is going to work for your regulations and for what our customers are going to respond to. And so my best advice is one, you don't need the message too pretty, right? If most of those sort of marketing, if you're not sending out a coupon or a thank you message, then it's just got to be short and dirty and sweet, right? And grab their attention, but yet they stay compliant. And then once you get registered, I would just test. I would play with that messaging a little bit, play with the domains that you're choosing a little bit, and see what delivers best for you. You could always go back and re-register a campaign or update the messages you're going to be sending within that campaign to now reflect the ones that are compliant and not work for delivery. So that would really be my best bet. Get through 10DLC first, or toll-free verification or short code, and then play with those messages, not maybe 10% of that message. You don't want to just send something completely different. And it really is just kind of trial and error. And then the next campaign you work on, you'll have a little better idea of what delivers and what doesn't. And then that next campaign. So it's a longer process. Gone are the days where we can just grab a phone number and send a million messages a day. It's just not going to happen, which is sad for someone like this. I pay on usage, right? But it is good for the environment as a whole. Otherwise, we're not going to have SMS if we treat SMS like we did email. How many of you have 10 emails because you don't answer your emails or look at them? That's where your junk goes. And the carriers are really trying to be conscious about not letting our inbox for our text messaging look like that. If you're getting unwanted text messages, you signed up somewhere. I'm sorry to say it. I've been in this industry a long time. I get no calls. I rarely get spam emails. I don't get spam texts. Maybe that's because everyone put me on their blacklist. I'm sure. But my fiance is like a couponer. I thank him every day for loving to click on things. He is the man that doesn't say, "Should I click on this?" He's like, "I click on this." Like, yes, you can. And he's not getting a lot of unwanted spam messages either. So, we want to be compliant, but we also need it to work. So register, test it, change it. You can always go back to your carrier or your platform provider and update those messages with the campaign registry for ones that work.
I guess the final question I'll leave us with today, maybe you know something that I don't, or maybe this is like looking into a crystal ball, but as we think about the next 6 months, year, couple years, where do you see SMS going for businesses? Do you think it's going to get more strict? Do you think we're going to see a pullback? Do you have any thoughts on what maybe businesses should expect on the SMS channel going into the future?
I think not just SMS, but anything lead generation and anything that involves telecom at all, like phone calls and recorded messages, press ones, RVM, SMS. We're really held captive to whatever the FCC decides to do with lead generation. And they are adamantly trying to shut down lead generation. I don't have the actual website, but when the FCC wants to make major changes to the TCPA or the CTIA rules, they have to first put it out there, like to a forum where the consumers can respond to. And if we don't do these things, right, I'm not a lobbyist. I don't have time to lobby. I would love to just tell them the difference between a fiduciary duty like loans or mortgages or debt collection versus just affiliates. But if we don't actually get involved, then we're going to all end up having your next mortgage. You're going to have to find every single mortgage provider, sign up with all of your information for every single one, and do all the comparisons yourself. Gone will be the bank rates and these kind of conglomerates of research. So get involved, look and see what rulings are open before they go into an actual ruling. And then as far as for businesses, just to start the process, grab a platform. You can reach out to Rally Box if you want, or reach out to whatever you find. It really doesn't matter. Just start the process because by 6 months, you could really have a good running generator to where now you're just adhering to new rules or guidelines instead of having to start all over. So is it arduous? Yes. Are all my answers long because it's crazy? Yes. Does it take hiring someone or working with a consultant or working with a platform to get you up and running? Yes. Are you going to be sending 100 million messages a day in 3 weeks? No. But start the process, get familiar with it, fail at it a little bit. And then in 3 to 6 months, regardless of the guidelines that come down, you'll be prepared to continue that channel.
Awesome, Holly. Again, I appreciate so much you walking us through everything today. For people who have heard everything that you've said today and they've like really resonated with it, they've heard what you said about Rally Box and who you guys work with, where can people find you online and where can they get connected with you?
So our website is www.rallybox.io. So it's just RALLYBOX.io. I'm on LinkedIn, Holly Depies, Depies. They call me the SMS Queen. I think that's what's on my LinkedIn right now. And I'll be on Contact.io next week as well. I have a panel of women that we're all speaking on bridging the gap between call centers and SMS. And I'm sure the conversation will go a lot like this. Reach out if you have questions. I'm always happy to just answer questions, even on just LinkedIn. So I'm here to help. This was really fun. This is my first podcast interview, so I'm excited that you were so kind.
I don't think anybody could have told that it was your first podcast, but no, it was a pleasure having you today. Hopefully we'll have you back at some point in the future again. And again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all your knowledge about SMS. We totally appreciate it. So with that said, that is our Arbeit episode today. And thank you everybody for listening.